Welcome back to another episode of Georgia Sports Nation. We got some more Hawks and Braves content on the way for you guys today. We're going to be recapping the Dodgers series loss. We lost 2-1. We salvaged the third game of the series to avoid that sweep with a walk-off sacrifice fly from Ozzie Albies to deep right field. Could have been a home run, but just probably 30, 40 feet off there. But nonetheless, good to end that series with a win. We followed that up with a win to open the series versus the Philadelphia Phillies, beating one of their two aces, Aaron Nola, last night. Austin Riley, Marcelo Zuna, and Matt Olson having huge games, as well as Travis d'Arnaud coming through in a huge way to give us a huge hit late in that game in the eighth to pretty much seal the deal and get the win 8-5. We're also going to be discussing some resurging players and some players that are in some struggles, who we think we're most concerned about and what they can do to improve their approach at the plate or to get their command right and stop getting hard hit balls off them. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So, Ant, we'll start with you for the Dodgers series. What was your overall thoughts on the series? Because when the Dodgers come to play the Braves in the regular season, it seems like the Braves just kind of crumble.
They do. They do. And it's not just offensively. It's the pitching. And then we had a couple we had because we don't make so many errors. And we was making errors in that series. And it was mental lapses and I just we was discussing this before the show came on. I don't know what we can do pitching wise because we have a couple of new guys. They've been getting hit a little bit, and then one of our veterans, he's been in a rut too. AJ Minter, coming and setting up, and that's not good.
Minter's going to be one of those guys that we discuss largely in that resurgence and struggle category after we discuss the Phillies games. Him and Michael Harris specifically, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. We're gonna
for the Dodgers series, obviously we had Freddie Freeman and Jason Hayward coming back, both at the same time as teammates to Atlanta this time. Obviously, Jay Hay has been back in Atlanta a couple times with his other numerous teams, the Cardinals and Cubs, to name a few. But Freddie Freeman, in some interviews before the game, he was like, "This time is a bit different." And unfortunately for him, that was good because he destroyed us in that first game. After he hit that 3-run homer, hooked it around the right field foul pole, really the momentum was kind of shot for the Braves, and that's how we lost that first game of the Dodgers series 8-6. JD Martinez also had a huge game and two homers. So he's had a resurging year with the Dodgers, and they get another power veteran bat in Martinez to add to Betts, Freeman, Muncy, Will Smith, David Peralta's in there too, just to name a few. So that Dodgers lineup, like it is every single year, pretty much loaded with home run.
Yeah, it's loaded. And then let's see. I think it was the second game. Jason Hayward. Now, okay. This I don't understand. You throw first pitch right over the middle. You hang it. Okay, cool. Maybe you miss your spot. But then you go right back to it, and then bam, he hits a home run.
Are you talking about the Strider pitch?
Yes, the Strider pitch.
Because Jason Hayward hit, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jason Hayward hit that homer on the first pitch of that at bat. The fastball was a bit above the zone, and I thought it was a good pitch by Strider. That's kind of a tip your hat type of moment to Jay Hay right there, in my opinion, because it really you know what that home run reminded me a lot of? Cody Bellinger's home run in the 2021 NL Championship Series in Game 3 in Los Angeles when it looked like we were going to be up 3-0, and Cody Bellinger hit a home run off Luke Jackson on a fastball that may have been like 3-4 inches above the zone. And this wasn't that high, but Hayward still hit it out. It was going to be a ball. I just take my cap to him there. That's a good piece of hitting because he guessed right fastball and it was out of the zone. So I see what you're saying, but that I just think I think a little bit differently on that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna think differently on that.
But for the Braves have faced a lot of rookies and just young starters really. Gavin Stone, who's a rookie this year, it wasn't his debut, but he allowed 5 runs on 5 hits and 5 walks in his second career start. And on that line, you'd think, okay, the Braves definitely won this game. 5 hits turn into those 5 runs. That's great power. Great job getting guys in from second and third base, and 5 walks as well. That's a young pitcher pitching into some trouble. But the Dodgers offense got him back into the game, and after that, he settled in for his last 2 innings. We didn't really score in multiple innings of this game. It was just 1 or 2 innings with a chunk of runs, and we couldn't get continuous hits in those last 2 innings that Gavin Stone pitched against us, and that was really what hurt us, I thought.
Yeah, and also an Achilles heel that's been in the thorn in our, what is running in scoring position.
Yes,
like we'll have second and third with no outs. Nobody scores. We can't have that because in the postseason, it's those type of moments that can hold you back from wearing that ring.
Exactly, and that's a great point. That happened. We were able to overcome that last night against Aaron Nola, but those three strikeouts with the runner on second, third, no outs, that was painful to see. Painful to see, for sure. Yeah, but the Dodgers ultimately got 12 hits, and they took a 4-0 lead. Or sorry, not a 4-0 lead. The Braves took a 4-0 lead in the first inning when we had a homer, and then Olsen and Acuna, like they've been doing for most of this year, getting on base in the first inning, driving each other in. I mean, how many times have we seen that so far this year that Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna combined for a double and a single, or even Olsen just homering Acuna home after a walk or a single up the middle? We've seen that maybe like 4 or 5 times this year already. So that the beginning of our lineup, we have the best first inning offense in the National League right now, yeah. And it's not really surprising at all when you look at our lineup.
No, it's not surprising. I mean, we have the most lethal lineup in the major league, like hands down. I mean, but we just got to get a couple people, back on, in the running.
Back on track, yep.
Yeah, back on
track. Freddie also said after the game in a press conference, and I've said this too on the show about young pitchers, particularly rookies, and we've seen it with Dylan Dodd and Jared Schuster for the Braves this year. They'll get into first inning trouble. It's pretty typical that young pitchers, it takes them a longer time than veterans to find a rhythm when they first get into the game. And Gavin Stone allowed those 4 runs in that first inning. Braves fans were feeling good, and I was too. But you've got to give him credit because after that first inning, and Eddie Rosario hit that homer, and you think, oh no, Eddie Rosario versus the Dodgers, he's back, he's hitting a career 400 hitter versus the Dodgers. This is going to be one of these games. That might have been what Gavin Stone was thinking, but he settled down and he made pitches. He did that for 4 more innings, gave the Dodgers 5 runs, and held them to only 1 more run after that first inning. And that's a lot of times what rookie pitchers will do. Once they get out of that first inning, they can settle down. And unfortunately for the Braves, that's what we allowed him to do. We couldn't get runners on base during those middle innings from that second to the 5th. And that's really what cost us, why we weren't able to add on to the lead until it was too late against that tough Dodgers bullpen.
You know what, Mikey? You know why we couldn't get anybody on base? Because we're swinging at pitches that's up here, swinging at pitches that's all the way down in the dirt. when and you have a pitch that's right here, right in your wheelhouse, where we've seen you do all season, and you just stand there,
Yeah,
and
a lot
then
of times
strike
it's
out.
yeah. That's when you know somebody's not going well at the plate because they're in between.
Yep.
They're in between, and it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to watch as a fan, and it's not a good feeling, I'm sure, to be up there at the plate. And the few more points about this first game of the Dodger series. I was disappointed, probably is the best word to say, about the Charlie Morton start. The long ball hurt him again, and I thought he had really found a groove. His last 2.5 starts, the back half of that third start was really good, and then he had two great starts back to back. And I thought he had found something. But against the Dodgers, when he allowed up that 3-run homer to Freddie, and they kept getting on base, particularly doubles, and especially, like I said before, JD Martinez with multi-homer game. That was when I was like, oh, hopefully we don't see the old Charlie come back who struggled for the majority of the year last year. What are you seeing from him that in those two starts, or if you noticed anything in those two starts that he did differently than this start to not have as much success than the previous two?
I don't know. It's like he's leaving. Like I don't know. It's like he's leaving pitches, more pitches over the no. He's missing his spots. He's leaving more pitches over the plate, and that's allowing hitters to extend instead of if you shorten it up, they all they can do is pop it up. But
Yeah. For
that's
me,
baseball.
Charlie, we know that curveball is really good. He has three different curveballs. He has the one that's a sharp breaker, almost like a sweeper. He's got one that can go a little more vertical action, go similar to a 12-6 curve, and then he's got one that goes more of a diagonal tilt, kind of in the middle, and the get me over one for a strike. I feel like that pitch, that curveball, is best utilized when he has his fastball command. For me,
Yeah,
Charlie's fastball command, he's got to be able to throw strikes to the corners and up in the zone with that fastball because he still has that velocity 95, 96, even 97 at sometimes up in the zone. He still has that velocity to full hitters. But when he can throw strikes with the fastball, that is what allows him to use that Uncle Charlie, that curveball that he's most known for throughout his entire career in the big leagues. And I just feel like his fastball command really hasn't enabled him to get as many strikeouts and as many opportunities to use that curveball in the best spots that he can because of that fastball command.
yeah. That's spot on right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And as we move on to the second game here, Bobby Miller, another rookie for the Dodgers, he made his MLB debut. And imagine that you go in your MLB debut. Dave Roberts says, "Hey, Bobby, you're going up against the Braves." His guy must be, "Oh no, Braves are a tough lineup." He's like, "Nah, no problem. One one run." And
Run.
there was the Braves offense really just looked lost against this hard thrower. Miller was hitting 100 with his fastball. The Braves just never seemed to pick it up out of his hand for a long
Yeah.
period of time there.
Not at all, man. Like we scored one time in that first inning, and then I mean I can't even count how many base runners we had in that from that second inning on
Yeah,
because it was pedestrian like that whole game.
yeah, it was not the greatest because he allowed one run over 5 innings, and he beat Spencer Strider. That was a battle of two hard throwers, and Strider did not have his best stuff that night. Like we were mentioning before, the homer to Jason Hayward, JD Martinez also hit another homer, and the Dodgers got 3 RBIs from Will Smith, who we'll get into a minute with the Marcell Ozuna Will Smith. I don't know what you want to call it, like a kerfuffle there, if you want to call it that. I don't even know what it was, but we can see we'll see what our opinions on after this, after as we discuss this game a little further. Strider Strider didn't have his best stuff. He'll tell you that. But the thing is, when you look at his stat line, he allowed only 2 earned runs and fanned 11 hitters. His 4th start to the season with double-digit Ks, and already his 10th start with double-digit strikeouts of his young career. So you talked about our defense at the beginning of the show and just before the show started. Really, that Matt Olson error in that one fateful inning for Strider caused him to throw a lot more pitches with 2 outs, and then you had the big blow by Will Smith after Strider walked Freddie Freeman.
That's inexcusable, man. And it's not okay. Let me put it like this: you've been making these plays on a norm since you got here, so that's what we expect. You know, it's a higher excellence. Playing defense here in Atlanta, and you missing plays like that. That's a bad rap because that's what we strive on is defense. And it hurt us. Like it really hurt us because just like you said, Strider did not have his A stuff that. I mean, he had the numbers, but it was you know abstract.
Yeah. Like I think I see what you're saying. Like if you ask Spencer himself, he'll say, yeah, he felt good out there, but he didn't say he had his absolute best stuff. But it was still a quality start. Like, going 5 innings, striking out 11 guys, only those 2 earned runs, and then in the second inning, like I said, that Olsen error with 2 outs really made him throw a few more pitches, really more than a few, around 20 more pitches, and they eventually walked Freddie Freeman to get to Will Smith. Will Smith hit that single down the left field line, and that's ultimately what kind of took the wind out of the Braves' sails early in the game until J.D. Martinez made it a rout with a 3-run homer late in the game. So yeah, I think I see what you're saying there with Strider.
Yeah, it looked good, but it was like some hidden things behind the numbers.
Yeah. And MB, this is interesting here. MB is a Dodger fan. He says the Braves are the better team, but hopefully the Dodgers can swing some trades. It's interesting you say that because both of our pitching staffs are really hurt right now. Really hurt. You got Julio Urias on the IL, Walker Buehler recovering from Tommy John, Kyle Wright, Max Fried, both out for a long time, multiple months most likely. So I think these teams, obviously they're 2 top-tier teams in the National League, but I think they're very similar. The numbers on paper, like you say, MB, do favor the Braves as far as, average. Both teams get a lot of their runs off home runs, but I think where the Braves can and should get over the top here for the Dodgers is the bullpen. The Dodgers have had a great bullpen as long as I can remember, but this year it's kind of been shaky overall. The Braves bullpen has been shaky at times this year, but I think guys like AJ Minter, Colin McHugh, Dylan Lee, when he comes back from injury, we just had to put Michael Tonkin on the IL today or yesterday. So both teams are filled with injuries, especially pitching wise. But I think the Braves bullpen, when they get healthy, is going to be the tipping point to give that edge to the Braves compared to the Dodgers when they go head to head. And yeah, you have yourself here. Like, I'm so used to seeing arms out of the Dodgers bullpen and say, "Oh no, it's over." Kenley Jansen, Evan Phillips has been really good in years past against us. Blake Trinan, but this year it's just those guys haven't had it, and Kenley obviously isn't there. So, yeah. But it's good to see the input. Glad you tuned in as a Dodgers fan. That's great to see a different perspective here. Thoughts on that, Ant?
We appreciate that different perspective on that. What was I going to say? Yeah, we're like, for us, we're reeling, like, and it's showing because we've had multiple games where we had to do a bullpen game. And every time that bullpen game comes around, we get thrashed.
Yeah, we haven't won a bullpen game this year.
Not even one, man. It's crazy. With our offense, that shows you that pitching still matters.
Yep, exactly. One positive thing though, I think that came out of this the Dodgers lost, the 8-1 loss, and it's carried into this Phillies series was Austin Riley's and Matt Olson's resurgence. Those were two guys that have been that were struggling for a couple weeks, but Austin Riley, he hit that 2-out double in the bottom of the first off Miller to get the only one we got that game. The only run we got in that game was the first inning, and he came the first three batters. But when Austin Riley hit that double, which by the way was the 500th hit of his career,
Yep.
that it showed me something because I really missed being able to see Riley turn around at 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 99-mile-per-hour fastball inside and hook it down the left field line for a fair ball double. I don't remember the last time I've seen that from Riley in this slump. And we saw how good of a game he had last night and how good of a game he had against the Dodgers in the last game of the series, a game that I went to, by the way, which was awesome. So I'm glad that hit from Riley, I think, really got him going. And it's huge to have that guy in the lineup right there because when you got Olson, Acuna, and Riley going at the same time, along with Sean Murphy, Travis d'Arnaud, how they're swinging the bat right now, those are top 4, top 5 guys in the lineup that you're saying, oh no, there's no break. Everybody's going hot at the same time. And Marcell Ozuna, we haven't even talked about him. He's probably going to win National League Player of the Month this year. That's how good he's been.
Yes.
So
he got my vote.
Yeah, he's got my vote as well. So that's really how good the Braves lineup is.
Yeah, I mean it's lights out, man. Like when we're hitting on all cylinders, there's nothing, no pitching staff in this whole league can do anything to stop this offense because we're that scary. And when we're seeing pitches, and we're not chasing pitches, that's our Achilles heel. When we're chasing pitches, that's what holds us back from scoring runs and winning these games.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from the nature of our offense because it's built with power. We're top three in the MLB in runs off the home run, and so are the Dodgers. MB, I don't exactly know the Dodger stats with runners in scoring position. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that here. But I know both the Dodgers and the Braves are top 3 in the league in runs, in percentage of runs from the home run, and I think that's why we strike out a lot. Everybody trying to hit the home run ball, but that's not always going to be the case because when that home run's not there, you can't score runs. That's why we got to be able to sometimes put the ball in play, shorten up the swing, go to opposite field. And you know who's been doing a better job of that lately? Michael Harris. And I know they haven't resulted in hits, but you see Michael Harris slowly going to the opposite field. He's had a couple sacrifice flies the last few games to left field, and that's what I think is good. His ground ball rate and strikeout rate are through the roof right now. And it's good to see Michael Harris getting some lift on that ball, especially last night with that deep fly to left field for a sacrifice. Hopefully we've seen some signs of him breaking out of the slump because he was, before the single against the Dodgers in the 9th inning. I think it was the 9th. Yeah. No, not the 9th. It was the 8th.
The 8th, yeah.
In the bottom of the 8th. He was 0 for his last 27. And that hit hopefully we can get him going. We saw a little bit of signs last night that Michael Harris may have figured out something, like I said, with him hitting in the opposite field.
Yeah. He's settled down now. Like he's not amped up. I seen yesterday that he's seen the pitches. Like he let the pitches come to him. He didn't allow the pitcher to dictate his at bat. He like I'm trying to say
I know what you're. I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
He's saying okay. I'm going to wait for my pitch. I'm not going to chase anything out of the zone. And I'm going to let the ball travel into the zone further so I can keep my bat in the zone longer. It'll go to the opposite field. And let's see if I can get a little launch angle on the ball because his ground ball rate is through the roof. That's really nothing like the Michael Harris we saw last year because Michael Harris beat out so many double plays. And when Michael Harris is grounding into double play with his speed, you know something's wrong. And that's what he was doing a lot before the past couple games. So hopefully he's figured out something and it can turn into some hits starting tonight against the Phillies.
Right.
And then the last game against the Dodgers series, by the way, I was at this game. Thanks. I was sitting at a Chop House. First time I've ever sat in the outfield, really, at a professional baseball game. And this was amazing. As you know, Matt Olson hit a huge solo homer to get the Braves on the board, to break up a no-hitter and a perfect game as well from Cody Gonsolin in the fourth inning. And that ball literally went way right over my head above the Chop House. I just sat there and was like, yo, the ball is just going straight over my head. So that was awesome to see. MB got the numbers here. The Dodgers are hitting 236 and the Braves are 256. So yeah, the Braves overall, 256 for the season is a great number with runners in scoring position. But last week, that number really went down from the mid 270s, 280s to 250, and hopefully we can get it back up there. Yeah, Maggie, the games at Truist Park, they're so fun. Hopefully I'm gonna get to go. I'll try and make it to a few more this summer. But great environment at Truist Park, especially when the Braves are hitting the homers, and that's what they did. That's what they did in the last game against the Dodgers to salvage a game. I already said Matt Olson's homer and Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna and Will Smith in the first game of the series had a little bit of beef with each other. You know, Marcell Ozuna hit him with the follow through with his bat, and Will Smith took exception to that. No fighting occurred, but the bullpens did empty, the dugouts did empty, but it was just talking. And then Marcell Ozuna really had the last laugh here because he turned back to Will Smith. He said something. He probably apologized a bit, but after he hit that 450-foot plus homer, that was basically all she wrote for the Dodgers. I feel like that the momentum right there was great, and the Braves ended up taking the walk-off win in the bottom of the ninth with Ozzie Albies sac fly.
Yeah. I mean, we needed it. We needed that game because we had been reeling in the first two games. Both sides.
Yeah, we did not look good.
No, we did not. I mean,
and someone that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. We, especially our bats. Like everybody was not looking good. I mean, we had a couple of hits here and there, but we could not string together any hits.
Yeah. And something that I think a lot of other MLB teams and a lot of the national media isn't covering is Bryce Elder's performance so far this season. It's funny because if you look at his Baseball Savant page, the inside stats, the batting average against, the exit velocity against him, all those stats, the hard hit rate, they're really bad. They're actually bad. But you look at his ERA, you look at how he's pitching, he's like, man, this guy's the ERA leader among quality starters in baseball. Number one in ERA. And you've got Spencer Strider up there in the top 10 as well. So there's something about Bryce Elder that he's figured out this season, and you love to see it. He's using that sinker to his advantage. He's got one of the best ground ball rates in the league, and a lot of that is because they're hard hit ground balls. But when you have hard hit ground balls, not 100 plus mile an hour, but when you say 80, 70 to low 90s mile per hour ground balls, those are ground balls that are going to turn into double plays a lot of the time because they're going to be hit right at somebody. They're not fast enough to get through that infield at over 100 miles an hour. So that's how Bryce Elder's really gotten it done. And B, yeah, that's what I'm saying. His numbers, if you look at the inside stats, they're not that good. It shows he would have gotten lucky a lot of the times if you want to say that. But when you look at the games, a lot of the hard hit balls against him are ground balls, which that's the thing. He's keeping the ball in the ballpark, which is something that he wasn't good at doing in his spot starts the last couple of times because he's pitched up in the zone with that sinker. He's had trouble locating it for a strike in the bottom of the zone, and I think that's the biggest difference this year for him. He's throwing that sinker in the bottom of the zone for strikes, and he's not walking anybody.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Finding the zone at the bottom.
Yeah.
Not,
and yeah,
and
another.
Also,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say. Also, it it would help if you can hit your spots because the umpire watches that. And if you're not hitting your spots, especially on the corners, then they're not going to give you what that at the bottom.
Yeah, they're not. And this is another similarity, by the way, to the Dodgers and Braves. Both Travis d'Arnaud and Will Smith had concussions, and were out for probably a week and a half to 2 weeks. So and Travis longer. He was out closer to 3 weeks. Not sure about Will Smith, but I know a concussion is at least a week and a half. So the Braves and Dodgers, honestly, similar records, similar offenses, similar injuries to pitching staffs. It's similar teams, and that's why we're both top of our divisions right now. Because
right,
the Padres haven't really been as good as they hoped, and they were supposed to compete with the Dodgers. And for us, the Mets and Phillies were supposed to compete with us, and they haven't gotten off to good starts this year. And we're past a quarter of the season now. So that's why we have the lead that we do in our respective divisions.
I wonder how long it's going to take them to come back to because I mean I think we know that they are pretty good team.
Yes, they are.
I wonder how long it's going to take them to finally realize that they're pretty good teams.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little bit more worried about the Mets just because I think the consistency is starting to show. They've lost to a lot of bad teams and beaten good teams. So that's a recipe to say, hey, we're beating these good teams. They won a series against the Rays, the Blue Jays. They've definitely done well against the good teams, but against the bad teams, they've lost series. They lost a series against the A's.
Yeah,
so
true.
you can see that the Mets are a good team, but can they just get that motivation to play bad teams? That's easier to do than the Phillies, who have really just, I feel like, just been all over the place this year. The defense, obviously, the Phillies defense has never been that good, but even Trey Turner's got off to a slow start, and he signed that huge deal with the Phillies to be their next shortstop. So Braves killer Trey Turner. Obviously, you got to put that before Trey Turner as an adjective, because every single year Trey Turner destroys the Braves. Doesn't matter what team he's on. So
right, yeah.
So yeah, they haven't gotten off to a good start.
It's like the equivalent to in the NFL. You have a playoff team, and then you have a team that has nothing to play for. You're playing down to their competition.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. And MB has a question for us. Okay, as a Braves fan, who do you fear more in the playoffs, Dodgers or Padres?
Do you have your answer? I may need to think about this one for a minute.
You know what? I'll put it like this. Pitching wise, I fear the Dodgers more because they have, their arms are, especially starting, crazy. And then their lineup is, like we've been talking about, it's just like our lineup. They have, they are scary. I would go with the Dodgers.
Dodgers came okay. For me, it's hard because we saw the Padres against us this year at home. We got destroyed by them.
That's true.
And we also got destroyed by the Dodgers in this series too. For the most part, that last game was a walk-off win. So it's really hard for me to say at this point. The Padres don't have as many injuries, and they're struggling right now. The Dodgers are still going strong with their injuries. So I think ultimately that's what pushes them ahead of the Padres right now, because the Dodgers have the depth. The Padres are a deep team, but Juan Soto's been struggling. He's back now, but he struggled for the majority part of this year. Manny Machado's still playing well, but the Dodgers still, for me, just are a little bit scarier because they're playing well even without some of their top guys, especially in the arms department. So that's why I'm still going with the Dodgers. But the Padres, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to face either of these teams, and we'll probably have to if we want to get where we want to go. We definitely will have to if we want to get where we want to go. But it'd probably take the Padres a little bit more. I think we can hit their pitching a bit more as well.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to see them either, but we're gonna have to be one of the two.
Because against the Padres, and B, this is what I was gonna say. The Padres pitching isn't that great. Yes, it has to have Blake Snell. Yes, they have Yu Darvish, but they haven't gone off to the starts that some would have expected of them. And when we faced the Padres earlier this season, we got beat 3 out of 4 times. Yes, but our pitching, we threw Dodd, we threw Schuster, and we threw Bryce Elder, who had a bad start against them. That's really his only bad start of the season. We didn't throw our good guys at the Padres, and their offense was able to take advantage. We scored runs, but we lost that game on the pitching side, and that's why I think still the Dodgers scare me more.
I agree.
But yeah, in this fourth game, what do you make of Brian Snitker's? That's for the Phillies game, but Brian Snitker has really pushed the button I think he's pushed the right buttons lately in terms of who's catching, who's playing which day with Travis, because with Travis d'Arnaud and Sean Murphy. One of them right now is probably going to have to sit out unless you want Marcell Ozuna playing left field. And obviously we don't want that. We don't want Marcell Ozuna in the outfield. But if that's the case, if he's the DH, you need to have him in the lineup regardless right now. You cannot take Marcell Ozuna out of the lineup. But if you have him in the lineup, one of Sean Murphy or Travis d'Arnaud is going to be sitting out. And it's a good problem to have. But how do you think Brian Snitker is going to dictate that?
Well, I mean, I think what makes it easier is Travis is coming back from an injury. And Sean has been hot.
Yeah.
Like, it's scorching hot. So you want to ease Travis back in there, like it's baby steps. You don't want to just push him out there and play him every day. Nah. But you do want him to get, a couple of bats each week. And, I'll say, like, for example, like you play him 1 or 2 days and then you sit him out, another day. Something like that.
Okay. Yeah, tonight we've got Travis d'Arnaud catching and Sean Murphy's taking a break. The DH is still Ozuna, and you've got Eddie Rosario, who's silently cooled off a bit after a little bit of a hot streak in left field tonight. But this last game against the Dodgers, the game we walked off, we said earlier in the show that a lot of the times when the Braves offense struggles, it's because we're trying to only hit the home run ball. That 9th inning, Riley, by the way, he hit that double 116 miles per hour. One of the hardest hit balls of his career down the line. Pulled a double. He had a great game that night. 2 doubles. That's when the extra base hits for Riley. The power's going to be there. The homers are going to be there. But the average was really what concerned you if you knew that Austin Riley could get back here, and he did. He's got he had the 2-homer game last night, the 2 doubles before that. The extra base hits are coming. But Riley hit that double, right? You got Travis d'Arnaud at the plate next, a smart hitter. You know what he does? He shortens up his swing, gets to 0-2, right? 0-2, no strikes. You're like thinking, we can't have a strikeout. We got to put this ball in play. Something needs to happen. He shortens up his swing, basically bunt hits the ball, if you will, to the right side, and everybody starts high-fiving him in the dugout. Beautiful, beautiful baseball right there. And the fans acknowledged it. When I was at that game, the fans were really loud for that out because they understood how key that was. You had Travis d'Arnaud to do that. They walked Eddie Rosario to try and pitch to Ozzie Albies. Ozzie had a great at-bat, fouled off 3 or 4 pitches down 0-2, and was able to hit a deep sacrifice fly and ultimately win the game. But that at-bat by Travis d'Arnaud was so key. Can't get overstated or overestimated.
Yeah, it was a great at-bat. That's what we talk about right there. ABC baseball.
Yep.
You shorten up your swing, and you can't teach this type of things. Like, you have to have that instilled in you.
Yeah, and Travis is a veteran, smart hitter.
Very smart hitter.
And, the Braves will find a balance. They'll hit their home runs. Those will come. We know that. But sometimes when in this situation, tie game, bottom of the ninth, no outs, got to run on second, you got to try and get that run any way you can. And the Braves did that. And Bird Game, and about Harris, we'll touch on that in just a couple minutes here. If you stick around, just a couple minutes. After we recap last night's win against the Phillies. We won this game 8-5 on the strength of Riley, pretty much. Riley and Ozuna again. Austin Riley hit 2 homers in this game, both combined over 900 feet. Just moonshots, both of them from Austin Riley. Great to see him break out like he's doing.
Yeah, I'm glad he's coming back around. He's getting his eyesight is coming back.
Yeah, and it was Outcast night at Truist Park last night. The first I think 15,000 fans got an Outcast bobblehead, and the attendance was 100% at the game.
Yeah,
third highest sellout in Truist Park history, including the postseason. That's how many fans were at this game. Especially because of Outcast night, and it was done very well. I thought they had Big Boy in the booth commentating, color commentating for a couple games or a couple half innings. That was really funny, especially when Aaron Nola struck at Eddie Rosario on that knuckle curve, and Big Boy was like, "Oh Lord, what was that pitch?" That cracked me up. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's entertainment for you, man. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and speaking of the homers that I mentioned, Travis d'Arnaud after the game, he said, "I don't think I've ever hit one that far in my life," and then he said he did it twice, and that's really what he did. And Travis d'Arnaud in this game, another huge play. He didn't start this game, but with the bases loaded and 1 out, Brian Snitker made a decision. And I think this was one of the best decisions of the season for him. As good as Michael Harris is, you've got a lefty, Gregory Soto, on the mound for the Phillies, who's struggling. He's normally an elite reliever, but he's struggling. He can throw 100 miles per hour from that left side, 91 mile per hour slider, wicked stuff. But you have Travis d'Arnaud on the bench and Sim Hilliard to play center field if d'Arnaud gets out for the defensive half inning. Travis d'Arnaud comes through. He sits Michael Harris down. And when Travis d'Arnaud hits that single, Harris was one of the first people they showed on camera clapping, congratulating him on the bench in the dugout. And that's really what you'd love to see. Your success for your teammates. And even though Michael Harris is in a slump right now, he appreciates what Travis does and knows that was the best decision for the team to win the game. And that's honestly, you love to see that from a young player, especially in their second season, like Michael Harris is, after winning the Rookie of the Year last year and having a rough start to this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially if you're young. And one thing that we've always had in Atlanta is a great locker room.
Yeah.
Like we're 100% for the next man. Like that, we've never been one of those teams where because we're not hitting or we're playing bad on defense. I'm not going to root for you. We can't do that. We play for the same team.
Yeah. Riley, this game with his homers, he continued his hitting streak to 8 games, and
Oh yeah.
but not to be outdone. Braves killer and boo target for all of time. Bryce Harper had to hit a gigantic homer that sailed past the chop house. It was 445 foot, so not as not as far as Matt Olson or Austin Riley, but it's still Bryce Harper. He pretty much does this to the Braves every single time he faces them. And Marcell Ozuna, who he went deep for the Braves. He became the first team in nearly 4 years to hit 3 homers off of Aaron Nola in the same game. Almost 4 years it's been since Aaron Nola's allowed 3 homers in a game. The Braves have just had his number recently, and that's an ace we're talking about. And I think the funniest moment, maybe the most stressful moment of this game, and after this we'll get to the resurging players and the struggling players. The most stressful moment was when Nick Castellanos was coming around home on a double. They could have taken the lead at 6-5, but Ronald Acuna threw the ball to Orlando Arcia. Arcia threw a strike to home plate, and Sean Murphy was able to tag Nick Castellanos out, but the umpire ruled it safe. It was clearly out on replay, but the Alec Boehm moment from a few years ago lives in Braves fans' heads. And I thought, honestly, they were going to call Nick Castellanos safe there just because of the Braves' replay luck. But thankfully, they made the right call. They called Castellanos out at the plate, and the game remained a 5-5 tie.
Oh yeah.
But I thought there could have been some Alec Boehm deja vu right there, and I really did.
We know because I mean we usually don't get those type of calls, man. Like, but they made the you could see that he missed the plate and he tagged him. It was just so happened that the umpire couldn't see it.
Yeah,
So I mean,
Dave and Dylan Dodd was especially complimentary of Riley, especially Riley, but mainly just at the Braves defense last night. As you know, it came back to what it normally was after that Dodger series. Austin Riley in that third inning was huge. He made a huge play on a short hop down the line on third base to throw. I don't remember who it was, but he threw him out, and then he dives to his left off the ball, hit 100 miles an hour to the hot corner. It falls down and still catches it. Those were 2 huge plays that really saved that inning and made it just a clean inning for Dodd.
yeah, that was awesome. Awesome defense. You can't beat it. I mean, when we're playing defense like that, it's tough to beat us.
Yeah, it definitely is. But tonight, the Braves will look to try to win this series outright against the Phillies. We're going to have Jared Schuster going for us against Taijuan Walker. We've seen Taijuan Walker plenty of times. He was obviously with the Mets last year. Now he's with the Phillies, so stays in the NL East. And a couple of changes to the lineup. We see Marcell Ozuna go up to the lineup from 7th to 5th. Eddie moves down from 5th to 6th. And Ozzie goes down from 6th to 7th. And then we have the classic Arcia and Harris, 9th. Acuna, Olson, Riley, and d'Arnaud to round up the top 4. So hopefully we can win this series against the Phillies. It's weird that this is the first time we're facing the Phillies this late in the season. I mean, it's not late in the season, but, it's almost the end of May. So normally we'd have seen an NL East rival like the Phillies earlier than this. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we're seeing them now because the Braves' offense, most of the guys right now seem to have found something. There's more guys that are hot right now than struggling, and that's always what you want to see.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm glad we're playing well right now. So I mean, we're going to. Come, hold on.
Yeah. Okay. It's all good. So when Ant comes back, we'll get his answer for why it's great that we're facing the Phillies now. Or he's back. Okay, we're good. That was quick. All right. So what were you gonna say?
Um, all I was gonna say is I'm glad we're playing well now, and of course, we're gonna plateau at some point, and I just want us to I just don't want us to dip off too bad,
Too much. Yeah,
especially
that's
when we.
why
Yep.
with the pitching that we're missing, that's the big thing.
Exactly. Yep. Especially when we start facing these NL East foes, coming up. So
Exactly. And now we'll get to a little section here towards the end. A little players that are resurging and players that are struggling. We'll start with two guys that have probably been the biggest topics for Braves fans. One on the pitching side, one on the batting side, and who you're more concerned with. We'll go with you, Ant, first, and then I'll say mine. Are you more concerned with Michael Harris or AJ Minter?
you know what, Michael Harris, It's like we was talking about earlier. He's he. You could see that he's trying to come back around. AJ Minter, I don't know because we seen it again last night where we just took the lead. I think in the bottom of the seventh, and then top of the eighth, we give right back.
The
So
only thing that about last night that I feel AJ Minter got so unlucky was one. Okay, Bryce Harper, you get a bunt single, right? There's nothing the pitcher can do about that. Bunt single. Nick Castellanos then hits a seeing eye 80-mile-per-hour single up the middle. It's unlucky. And then you got Kyle Schwarber, the real mistake with the double down the line. So in my eyes, AJ Minter made one bad pitch in one inning, and because of two unlucky hits, got the blunt of the blame there.
Well,
He has been bad.
let me put it like this, because this is how I feel because it's been an ongoing thing.
Oh yes.
Like that's why I'm more concerned with AJ because it's been going on not just last night, not just in the past 3 games. It's been happening on an ongoing occurrence. And with our missing pitching, we can't have that.
Yeah.
With Michael Harris, okay, you're struggling. Okay, we're gonna put you down at 9-hole until you can start, trusting yourself to see more pitches. And we know that he's gonna come back around and then also he's great on defense. So we're not worried about that. AJ, for me, because of the injuries that we have in our starting lineup, in our starting rotation, it's a little unsettling for me.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. I think AJ, I'm a bit more concerned with, and I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate to myself here for a little bit because AJ Minter, we've seen him have a year of struggles. That was really 2018, 2019. We sent him down to AAA. He came back in 2020. Then 2021 and 2022 pitched like the best reliever in baseball.
Lights out. Yep.
We've seen him come back and just be elite. So that could that still has potential to happen. But the thing for me is Kevin Pillar's been really good for us. Sam Hilliard was good at the beginning of the year. He's really kind of fell off here the last few games, though, when he's gotten an opportunity with that strikeout rate. He still plays great defense. But Harris, like you said, elite defense. And if he's taking walks, which hopefully he can start doing a little bit better, he still gives you that steal. He gives you that steal ability, that speed on the bases. So I think he can still bring you a little bit more than when one of your key relievers is down, or just has a down year. We've got Michael Tonkin on the IL. Colin McHugh just came back. Lucas Lidke just came back. Dylan Lee's on the IL. So we've got so many guys out right now on the pitching side. We need our main guys to step forward, and that's why I think it's like you basically said, really urgent that AJ Minter comes back right now. Yeah. So to answer your question, Bird Gaming, will Harris break out of a slump? I do. I think we've seen some tendencies in these last couple games. Him hitting the ball in the air to the opposite field in specifically, that has really shown me that he's taking strides to get that swing right, get it on plane, level through the zone, have the ball travel to him a little bit more instead of trying to pull everything. So that's what's been the most encouraging sign for me, that Harris will break out of this soon. I really do think so.
Yeah, I do too. And it's just like what Raymond Collins says here. He might be just trying to find his stride coming back from injury.
Yeah, because he had that scary injury when it looked like he hyperextended his leg, but it was just a jam knee. And then he also had that back injury when he was on the IL and was out for about 2.5-ish weeks. So maybe he's just getting back from that, hopefully. And we'll see the Michael Harris that we all know and love soon. All right, more resurging and struggling players. Eddie Rosario, the struggling department, and then I'll say for the resurging, Marcell Ozuna. We'll touch more on Marcell because who is more likely to meet in the middle here with how bad, or because Eddie, I feel like Eddie, he's not terrible. He doesn't look awful at the plate. But he could be better. I'm sure he's going to tell you that too. But Marcell Ozuna has been scorching hot. Been one of the best hitters in baseball this month. Like we said in the beginning of the show, he's got both of our votes for NL Player of the Month. So, who do you think is more likely to regress to the mean in Marcell or progress to the mean in Eddie? Who's more likely?
I think that's a tough question.
It is a tough question, yes.
I want to say Eddie, but I mean, I know that Eddie's gonna come back. I mean, we've seen that in the playoffs a couple years ago, so I'm not worried about Eddie. I think Ozuna is gonna, he's gonna come back down to earth just a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll say this about Ozuna. I can almost guarantee 100% that he will never in his career look as bad as he did for the past half season, counting the last three, counting the first fifth of this season and most of the second half of last season. I don't think it'll be in his career. Literally, I've said this, and I said this on the show multiple times last year. I don't know how a guy is an elite hitter for 6 or 7 years of his career, forgets how to hit, and then just goes completely to like the worst player in the league. Right. I've never seen that before. And granted, he's had some off-field stuff, obviously, and everybody can have opinions on those if they want to. But when we're just talking strictly on the field, I've never seen a collapse probably as big as people were saying that he was just cooked. He was done. I'm glad he's found this hot streak. I do think, like you said, he will regress, but I think he'll regress to being a consistently good DH. I don't think it'll be like you can't play him anymore. What is Snitker doing type of regression?
No. It's not going to go back to what it was. That's out the equation. But it's just like you said, he's gonna regress to being a great DH.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to discuss here before we wrap it up is I've seen there's controversial opinions about Nick Anderson. I want to get your opinion of Nick Anderson's performance so far in our bullpen, because I have a really strong opinion about him, and it seems like I'm in a little bit of minority than what I've seen on Twitter so far.
You know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's been serviceable.
Yeah, I am in the minority of this.
I'll put like this. We've seen worse. Trust me.
Wow. So you fall into the camp that I've seen a lot of people on Twitter lately. I think Nick Anderson has been, besides Raisel Iglesias, who had one bout outing and he's been the closer that we've always thought he would be this year when he's came back. He had one bout outing and then that was it. But I think Nick Anderson's been our best reliever this year outside of our closer. I think he's been really good. He had one bout outing at the beginning of the year, and the outing against the Dodgers in the last game of the series when it was tied, when he allowed up the 2 runs in the 8th when it was tied 3-3. But other than that, I can't remember a time when Nick Anderson has had a horrible outing. His fastball command has been there. I love that 12-6 curve that he's got, and I think people are being too hard on him. I really think he's been really good. Dylan Lee's been good. Obviously, he's hurt right now. Yeah. Michael Tonkin's been really good, but he's hurt right now. He had a bout outing, his most recent too. And Lucas Lipke, he just came back, but he hasn't been good. But in my opinion, Nick Anderson and Kirby Yates right now, those are the 2 guys that really need to step up. You know, you got Dylan Lee down, Michael Tonkin down, and Lucas Lipke just came back. And for me, he hasn't really been that great as advertised. We know he was older. He wasn't brought in to be a high leverage guy, but he still hasn't been good. And then with AJ Minter struggles, Kirby Yates has been better as of late. And then for me, I seem to be in the minority of this, like I said, but I think Nick Anderson's been really good. So Nick Anderson and Kirby Yates, you're the 2 guys that have got to bridge the 7th and 8th right now, in my opinion, to Raisel Iglesias. If you're Brian Snitker, I'm looking to those 2 guys to try to get to Raisel to close the game out.
Right. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he has been horrible. Like,
yeah, no, I know.
I'm not in their the minority on Twitter now. I think he's been pretty good from what we're getting from like you said from AJ. He's been kind of he's been laboring
Yes.
So and also like Colin, he's been really like he's been spot on, exactly what we've been needing this year.
Well, who did you say?
Colin.
Oh yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to win this series against the Phillies. Like I said, we got Jared Schuster tonight. We can hopefully see a 3rd great start in a row from Schuster here. That'll be huge. After a good start in Texas, where he may have figured something out, and then a great start versus the Marlins. So, or not the Marlins. He had the start against the Rangers, and then the start against the Mariners. Sorry, not
Mariners. Yeah.
So the Mariners and Texas Rangers, 2 great offenses. Let's see if he can shut down another offense here. Great offense in the Philadelphia Phillies versus Taijuan Walker. But with that, we'll end it like we always do. Ant, tell them they can find you.
Hey, man, y'all can find me on Twitter, Big Ant True, and then on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Big Ant. That's all y'all got to look up, man. Appreciate everybody coming out.
And y'all can find me, as always, at PinWizard300 on Twitter and at YouTube, streaming Georgia Sports Nation on Recapping Hawks Hoops. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week, same time, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Peace out, y'all.